Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the far reaches of the West Coast, it's the Zmed brothers!
So happy to see people out, and we are the Zmed brothers. We are actually brothers, and we were born 2 weeks apart. So that was just hold on. Our mother said it was a long labor. But
I just want to clarify something for a second. We're 4 years and 2 weeks apart. We're both November birthdays, so I can see why you get a little confused there. His was a long labor. I was pretty easy. But yeah, we're just so glad to be back here. I think the last time we were here was December of 2019. A little bit happened in between, and we're just so grateful to be playing music for you folks again. Thank you so much for being here.
Special shout out to the village people. Where's the village people? Get ready for the same jokes.
So we've been doing this show for about 5 years now. We've learned so much about Don and Phil's career. Their career spanned from 1951 to 2005, and during that time they released 21 studio albums, sold more than 60 million records worldwide, and had 30 Billboard Top 100 hits. So we got a lot of great songs to play for you. We're going to play a song that was written by a friend of Don and Phil's named Roy Orbison. This is the song that put Roy on the map as a songwriter. He was not a recording artist yet. And Don and Phil took this song and made it the B-side to All I Have to Do Is Dream in early 1958. Roy wrote it for his wife Claudette. It's called Claudette.
Never
You are? We have a Claudette here.
Well, you're welcome. It's our pleasure.
Oh, we sure are.
Oh, I know. You don't even keep them crossed anymore. Yeah, you can relax. So now, Don and Phil, it was one of their lifelong dreams to get on the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, and they did make it there in 1957. But one step the entire Everly family made to get themselves a little bit closer to Nashville was relocating from Iowa to Tennessee in 1953. And it was while they were there that their father, Ike Everly, who was a brilliant guitarist that played on radio in the 30s and 40s, introduced the boys to Chet Atkins.
How many of you are familiar with Chet Atkins? Pretty general consensus. He's the country gentleman, Mr. Guitar, co-founder of the Nashville Sound, just an incredible, prolific musician, but a lot of people do not know that he started the Atkins Guide as well.
No, he didn't do that.
That's actually superseded his musical career to a large degree.
The reason
people
that
are still eating his food to this day.
The reason that people don't know that is it's not true. It's a popular surname. So, Chet believed in Don and Phil's talents very much, and he brought the boys down to Nashville and became a mentor to them. And it was while they were there that they met a man named Wesley Rose. Now, Wesley was the head of the biggest publishing company in Nashville at the time, Acuff Rose Publishing, founded by Wesley's father, Fred Rose, brilliant songwriter, and the great Roy Acuff. So Wesley signed Don and Phil as writers to that publishing company when they were just 17 and 19 years old. He became their manager and got them a record deal with Cadence Records, who had Andy Williams and the Cordettes at the time, and now they had the Everly Brothers. So Don and Phil found themselves in their very first recording session with Cadence, March 1st, 1957. And it was in that first session that they met another writer signed to Acuff Rose Publishing, and this was the big moment of their big break that they needed, because this writer was half of the first professional songwriting team to come out of Nashville in the 20th century. It was a husband and wife songwriting team, Boudleaux and Felice Bryant.
You know who you remind me of? Ken Burns.
Okay.
It's great. It's beautiful.
There's just a little bit of history up front. We're not going to be doing too much of it. Yeah, so Felice and Boudleaux Bryant wrote hundreds of songs for Don and Phil, 30 of which were recorded. Every one of them made it to the charts. So here's an A-side and a B-side of a 45 for you right now.
I can see there's a lot of young people here. So for those of you who don't know what a 45 is,
do you know what it is?
well, I had to look it up. So
It's called Bird Dog.
Johnny sings a love song like a bird. come true. I'll never give you reason to cry. I'd be unhappy if you were blue. Through the years my love will grow like a river. It died because I'm so devoted to you.
We want to thank you for singing, and we encourage it very much so. We would love you guys to sing if you know the lyrics. If you don't know the lyrics, come along, and if you don't know any of the songs, welcome to the show.
So in 1958, Don and Phil released their first full-length LP, and they put a lot of early A-sides and B-sides of 45s and 78s on that. And some of those songs were written by that husband and wife songwriting team, the Bryants, and some of them were written by Don and Phil. And then some of them were written by contemporaries of theirs, the friends of theirs that they were touring with. And we want to do one of those for you right now, written by the great Gene Vincent, a rockabilly hero of ours.
This is Bernie Drummond Jr. on drums here. Co-founder of the project with us, and you're from Thousand Oaks, California. Yeah. And that's where we met, Bernie. We're also from Southern California, but we recently actually moved to Tennessee. And,
we're 45 minutes out of Nashville now, but we're just so glad to be back on the road with Burley and his beautiful family over here. You keep adding to the family. We just love them so much.
So our mother is was a second grade teacher for 30 years, and she retired pretty recently, and we're really proud of her. She can finally take care of us full time, so that's what we've really been looking forward to.
Yeah, she actually is looking to come out to Tennessee and meet us. And our father is an entertainer. His name's Adrian Zmed. He did a lot of television and film in the 80s. He was on T.J. Hooker with William Shatner. He was in some films like Grease 2 and Bachelor Party. But it was mainly musical theater that we were raised on. So we'd spend the school years with our mother in California, and then the summers traveling with our dad with whatever play he was doing. And for so much of our childhood, he was playing Danny Zuko in the musical Grease. And clearly, Grease is set in 1959, and because of that, before each performance began, there was a dance competition.
Well, just to give you we were raised on 50s music. You're not done?
Well, yeah, that was what I was going to say. That the first music that we ever heard was Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers, Brenda Lee, the Buddy Holly. So
Alvin and the Chipmunks on this guy. So to give you an example, I knew what a poodle skirt was before what an actual poodle was.
That's probably true. So now, Dawn and Phil's parents were also in show business. Ike and Margaret Everly had left the coal mines of Hamburg County, Kentucky to pursue show business. Their father, Ike, was a brilliant guitarist that played on the radio in the 30s and 40s. And so they played all over the Midwest and the South on different radio stations, which is why Dawn was born in Brownie, Kentucky in 1937, which is a mining town that doesn't exist anymore. And Phil was born in Chicago in 1939 because their father was playing on WLS National Barn Dance. It was a big country music radio show that came out of Chicago. The whole family landed in Shenandoah, Iowa by 1946, and they spent most of their formative years there, and it's where they sang professionally for the first time on their father's Christmas radio show in 1946. So you can actually hear these recordings online. People started calling in saying, "I want to hear those Everly Brothers again." They were just 6 and 8 years old when they sang professionally for the first time. And so by 1951, the whole family was incorporated. Everyone was playing. Margaret was playing bass, and by 1953, Ike and Margaret stepped aside and let the boys go off as a duo.
So we're going to play a song off of their second full-length LP. It's called "Songs Are Dead, Hiatus." This record is an homage to their roots growing up, and also to country roots. There's a great deal of family acts, sibling acts that precede Don and Phil, like the Blue Sky Boys, the Louvin Brothers, the Mills Brothers. There's just so many.
The Deseric Sisters.
Mario and Luigi. There's so many.
No, that's the Super Mario Brothers.
But we're going to do my favorite song off of this record. It's by a brother group called Gene and Autry.
Oh, no, that's the one guy who's not. That's one guy.
If they want this way
a song for Mama now. This was put on Don and Phil's Roots album, and this is written by one of our favorite writers, country writers, Merle Haggard, and it's called Mama Tried.
I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing, and a young stream of broken to ride. On the freight train leaving town, not knowing where I bound. No one could change my mind, but Mama tried. One lonely rebel child from a family began trial. Mama seemed to know what lay in store. All my Sunday learning, towards the day I kept returning. Mama couldn't hold me anymore. And after 21 years doing life without love, no one can steal me right when Mama tried. Mama tried, Mama tried to raise me better, but her leave that night, that leaves only me to blame. This Mama tried. Left my mama heavy low, she tried so very hard to fill his shoes. Working hours without rest, wanting me to have the best. Tried to raise the right, but I refused. And after 21 in prison, doing life without a wrong, no one can steal me right, but Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried to raise me better. That leaves only me to blame. This Mama tried.
We're just going to go back a little bit, and from doing this show and learning so much about Don and Phil, we kind of came at it from being raised on the music of the Beatles and Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Simon and Garfunkel. But once we realized that all of that kind of led to Don and Phil, and there was kind of this access between all the great country acts before and all these great pop acts afterwards. So we kind of wanted to learn about what Don and Phil were listening to. So here's a song written by the Delmore Brothers, who were a fantastic group from the 1920s through the 40s.
Bob Dylan is quoted saying, "I like the Delmore Brothers."
I think the quote was, "In every harmony that I sing, there's a little bit of Delmore Brothers."
A little more poetic, that version.
Was a mighty man, now he's resting in the promised land. The kind of music he could understand was an 8-bit driver under his command. With the freight train boogie all the time. With the freight train boogie as it all down the Casey Jones, he was coming to town on a 6-seat wheel that was burning the ground. With the freight train boogie all the time.
A-side and B-side, written by Felice and Bryant, that wonderful husband and wife. You got the bottle? Fantastic. Now, they were such prolific writers. They were writing 4 or 5 songs a day easily, and they didn't need much inspiration to do so. And to give you an example, this next song we're about to play was written when Felice was vacuuming, and something got caught in the motor and was producing a rhythm, and Boudleaux went to the piano and wrote this song to that rhythm. When Don and Phil were in the studio recording it, they did a bunch of different versions, wasn't quite working out, and Boudleaux suggested bringing in that rhythm. He didn't bring in a vacuum cleaner, but he brought in the rhythm, and he's playing an empty Coke bottle with a screwdriver. And when we were in Lancaster, Pennsylvania a few days ago, we picked up an old-time Coke bottle so that it's period correct. The glass is thicker, it has a really nice tone to it. So
You just wait till you hear what they wrote while they were brushing their teeth. This song is, Bob Dylan said he really liked it. He's got a lot of respect in the music community. He did it on his self-portrait record. This is called Take a Message to Me. Do you guys want him to be in tune, or? I don't really mind.
These are the words of the frontier lad who lost his love when he turned black. Take a message to Mary, but don't tell her where I am. Take a message to Mary, but don't say I'm in a jam. You can tell her I had to see the world. Tell her that my ship set sail. You can say she better not wait for me, but don't tell her I'm in jail. Oh, don't tell her I'm in jail. Take a message to Mary, but don't tell her what I've done. Please don't mention the stagecoach and the shot from a careless gun. You can tell her I had to change my plans and cancel out the wedding thing. But please don't mention my lonely cell where I'm gonna find no light until the dying day. Take a message to Mary, but don't tell her all you know. I was aching for Mary, Lord knows I miss her so. Just tell her I went to Timbuktu, tell her I'm searching for gold. You can say she better find someone new to cherish and to hold. Oh Lord, the sad is gone. Oh Lord, this cell is cold. Jenny to the party last night. They're only fucking in the fight. So only for Jenny, she better like the light. Poor Jenny, there's some trouble when it call the cops on the phone. So everybody's headed out for places alone. I couldn't carry Jenny, so I left her alone. Poor Jenny, Jenny had a picture in the paper this morning. She made it with the baby. According to the story in the paper this morning, Jenny is the leader of a TV. Jenny has a brother and he's on the trip. Daddy be around when Jenny gets out of jail. Oh, Jenny. I went down to see her, she was locked in her cell. She wasn't very glad to see me that I could do. In fact, to tell the truth, she wasn't looking too well. Poor Jenny. Her eye was black, her face was red, it was a fright. She looked as though she'd been crying half of the night. I told her I was sorry, she said, get out of sight. Poor Jenny. It seems a shame that Jenny had to cook it every ending. But I can't agree. Sparky was the first one she ever had attended. It happened on our very first day. Jenny has a brother and he's not my dream. Her daddy wants to ride me out of town for him. I'll be around when Jenny gets out of jail. Oh, Jenny.
Now, I noticed not a lot of you were singing along to that one. It is rather verbose, if I might say so myself. And but the interesting about that song, it was actually banned from the radio because of they mention a time when this fight breaks out at a party, and it's 1 o'clock, as in nighttime.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
Some radio stations would not play that because they didn't want to condone children being out that late. So Donna Phil recorded another version where they say 10 o'clock is in 10 p.m. The radio was okay with that version. We've come a long way, haven't we? But we did the late version for you all, so yeah. So now we're going to do some songs written by Don and Phil now. Of course, that's why they got signed to Cuff Rose Publishing, was for their writing when they were just teenagers. Don had a couple songs recorded by Kitty Wells and Wanda Jackson, which was a great honor for him. So here's some songs written by the boys.
Until I kissed you. How did I resist until I kissed you? Put you on my mind. Now you live all the time. I never knew what I missed till I kissed you. I kissed you. Oh yeah. Things have really changed since I kissed you. My life's not the same now that I kissed you. Oh yeah. Yeah, way about you. Now I can't live without you. I never knew what I missed till I kissed you. I kissed you. Isn't this love? It's not good at all. Don't want your love anymore. Don't want your kisses, that's for sure. I die each time I meet the sun. Here he comes, that scandalous clown. When you see me shed a tear, and you know that it's sincere, you think it's gonna say, you treat me so bad, don't you even care? Don't want your love anymore. Don't want your kisses, that's for sure. I die each time I hear this sound. Here he comes, that scandalous clown. That scandalous clown. That scandalous clown.
Thank you. Thank you much. All right, so Dylan just wanted to.
I heard it. I heard it.
You heard something. Dylan, he just wanted me to, he didn't want to leave any Kathy's out. Don and Phil's Kathy is spelled with a C, and he decided to sing with a K. You know, just in case there's any Kathy's. Are there any Kathy's here tonight? Any Kathy's? Over here? Okay, and what do you spell it with? With a K. Oh, well, fantastic. That worked out perfect. Goodness, all right. I'm sure you can already tell. I guess I didn't even need to say anything. So, now, from 1957 to 59, Don and Phil were with Cadence Records, and all of their early hits were released on that record label. In early 1960, they signed the first $1 million contract in rock and roll with Warner Brothers Records, and at the time, Warner Brothers was actually struggling as a film and television studio, and Kathy's Clown was the first single that they released on that label. It was such an enormous hit, not just in North America, but internationally, that it kept Warner Brothers in business at that critical moment. So we kind of speculate, we wonder if it weren't for Don and Phil, would we have all the great cartoons that came after 1960? We love Mel Blanc and Carl Stalling and some amazing stuff. So at the same time that Kathy's Clown was at the top of the charts, their former label Cadence still had a whole back catalog of material, and they decided to release a song that was written by Phil, and that one shot to the top of the charts as well. So 1960 marks the moment where Don and Phil were at the peak of their career, only to be rivaled in terms of rock and roll popularity with and perhaps the likes of Elvis, but Elvis showed us all how big an artist could get, but he never toured the world the way Don and Phil did. The Everly Brothers actually set the stage for what international touring has become to some degree, because they would circle the globe every 6 months throughout the early 1960s.
Of course, their tour manager was Santa Claus, so...
Okay. That's for the Christmas show, Nell.
No,
You're stealing jokes from yourself.
they were learning from the best, that's all I'm saying. He did it in one night.
So we're going to do that song that was a big hit for Phil, and it was also a big hit for Lynn Ronstadt in 1975. This is called Will I Be Loved.
I've been made blue. I've been lied to. We've been lied, been loved. I've been burned down. I've been burned.
to another song that Felice and Boudleaux wrote, and they wrote this for Don and Phil in 1960, but Roy Orbison did a big version of it just a little bit later, but I think perhaps the largest version, most well known, is a group called Nazareth in 1975 did this song. And if you're not familiar with the group Nazareth, the lead singer, his name is Jesus. And
Hold the phone.
he was a beautiful man, a wonderful singer.
You're confused.
He kind of looked like Burley.
Around the hat?
Not the hat. But
No. Nazareth, they were from Scotland.
I read his biography. It's wonderful. And you should read it.
You read, I've never seen you read before. Well, can you tell us something juicy about the book, so we know that you actually read it?
Well, a guy named Gideon gave it to me. That's all.
That doesn't tell me anything about what's in the book.
Talk to Gideon.
Love hurts, love scars, love wounds and mars. It hit me hard, not tough, nor strong enough to take a lot of pain, take a lot of pain. Love is like a cloud, it's a lot of rain. Love hurts, love hurts. I'm young, I know, but even so, I know a thing or two. I've learned from you. Been feeling the love, been feeling the love. Love is like a stone, burns you when it's hot. Love hurts, love hurts. Some fools rave of happiness, blissfulness, togetherness. Some fools fool themselves, I guess, but they're not fooling me. No, it isn't true. No, it isn't true. Love is just a lie meant to make you blue. Love hurts, love hurts, love hurts.
Thank you so much. Now, this next song we're going to play has too crazy of a story not to tell. I'll tell it really quickly.
I don't know how I feel about this. You didn't clear the story with
Well,
me.
okay, so Little Richard wrote this song, and Don and Phil did a version of it. Little Richard was at a zoo in, I believe it was Nashville. He was in a zoo, and it was in the aquatic section. You guys know what the aquatic section is? Where there's dolphins and stuff. So one of the animals got out, and he got inspired, and he wrote the song Lucille. So. I think Daddy was the name of the trailer.
It's ridiculous. You've definitely served a porpoise.
See,
Since Don and Phil were at the peak of their career in 1960, their manager Wesley thought, why not have them take the Elvis route and become stars of the silver screen? So he sent the boys to Hollywood to take acting lessons for 6 months, and I think the nicest way of putting how it all went is that they were musicians through and through. They did not become actors, but at the end of that 6 months, they fired Wesley as their manager. And unfortunately, Wesley was not only their manager, he was also head of the publishing company that they were legally bound to as writers, Ink Rose Publishing. So when he got cut off as being their manager, he cut them off from the entire catalog of songs on Ink Rose, which had two devastating implications. They were not legally allowed to record any of the Bryant's material, and they were not legally allowed to record any of the material. Devastating thing to happen at the peak of their career. So they rolled with the punches though, and they started seeking out other writers, and they had some top 10 hits. The latter half of 1961, they joined the Marine Corps Reserve in Pendleton, California, and they actually had a top 10 hit while they were in the reserve. There's a famous performance of theirs.
Yeah, well, they were live on the Mr. Ed show, and
No, Ed Sullivan. Ed
there
Sullivan.
wasn't a lot of TV shows back then, as TV had just come out and stuff. I think everyone knows who Mr. Ed is, Zach, so you don't have to correct
Ed
me.
Sullivan. Mr. Ed is a talking horse. It's a different show.
Listen, if you respect the man, you say Mr. So, by the way, you probably should say Mr. Dillon when you address me.
It's ridiculous.
Are you guys having a fun time? Now, how many folks are here from the village? Is it about 50? You guys know how to party. All right. Here we go. This is Walk Right Back.
like crying in the rain.
Thank you guys, thank you so much. Well, so Crying in the Rain was written by Carole King and Howard Greenfield out of the Brill Building Studio of Songwriters in New York. It was one of the first big hits that Carole King had in 62 or 61, I believe. And Walk Right Back was written by Sonny Curtis from the Crickets. Buddy All in the Crickets, you guys know who they are? You know who their bass player was? His name was Jiminy.
No. The bass player's name was Joe Malden. No.
He had 4 fingers, it was perfect.
I'm confused. All right. We're gonna do the last top 10 hit that Don and Phil had in the United States. This is called That's Old Fashioned.
Top 10 hit they had in the United States. Now, in 1964, Don, Phil, Wesley Rose, Warner Brothers, Felice and Boudleaux, and they all got together and they settled their differences. And
All the legal differences, 'cause, you know, I had mentioned earlier that they got cut off from Cuff Rose. So
yeah, they settled their differences. This is when they got their rights back to do their own material and also the Bryant's material. But a lot had changed from 1961 to 64, including there being a large insect infestation in the United States, which,
come on, Bill.
listen, everybody knows how crazy girls were going over the Beatles. They were screaming everywhere.
Oh, that's so stupid. Ridiculous. All right, so this is going to feature Burley on drums. Let's get to the music.
Gonna wake up and find out sure. For the summer gone. Gone, gone, really gone. Cause you do me wrong. Everyone that you need, baby, as you walk down the street, baby, will ask you why you're walking all alone. Why you running? Say I'm wrong, really wrong. Don't you know? Yes, you do me wrong. So Taste your lips of wine anytime, night or day. Only trouble is she is. I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so. And that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, 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 dream.
That song, that's one that our dad used to sing to us when we were little kids.
Except he changed the lyric of wine to grape juice, so make it appropriate.
All right, but we had no idea just how magical that song was until we learned about the writers Felice and Boudleaux, that husband and wife songwriting team, because it's on an autobiographical song. When Felice was an 8-year-old girl living in Wisconsin, she had a vivid dream where she was slow dancing with a man in music she'd never heard before. And when she woke up, she interpreted that dream as if they were dancing their song. She never forgot that dream and never forgot that man's face. And when she was 19 years old, living in Milwaukee, she was working downtown at a hotel, and Boudleaux just so happened to be passing through town playing fiddle in a Western swing band in the cocktail lounge of that same hotel. And he got up to walk across the room to get a drink of water from the water fountain. And she spotted him from afar and immediately recognized him as the man from her dream when she was 8 years old. And she didn't waste a second. She ran and intercepted Boudleaux before he got to the water fountain and said, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she pushed the button on the water fountain and it actually malfunctioned and splashed all over his tuxedo. In interviews later in life, they said it was love at first splash. But incredibly, Boudleaux introduced Felice to the rest of his band as his fiancée, and they eloped 3 days later. And they went on to become the most successful songwriting team to come out of Nashville in the 20th century. They wrote over 6,000 songs. Around 1,000 of those songs were recorded. They're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and they're in the Country Music Hall of Fame. There's actually an exhibit running right now at the Country Music Hall of Fame specifically dedicated to them. It's a couple rooms. It has all their ledger books because they were meticulous. They wrote everything out very, very, very nicely. And but yeah, I would recommend checking that out if you get a chance. Now, we've had the good fortune to become friends with one of Felice and Boudleaux's sons. His name's Bryant, and he was the CEO of BMI for 40 years. And he has kind of been an advisor on the show, making sure all the facts are right and become a good friend. But he shared some songs with us that were lost. They were the songs during that period from 1961 and 1964 that were written for Don and Phil but never got recorded. And we'd like to share one of those songs with you right now. This song's was never recorded. So this is called Like a Statue.
Please sing.
Told me last night we'll be made of stone. I just sat there like a statue made of stone.
Thank you so much. Now, perhaps the cherry on top of Felice and Blue Little Bryant's career is one of their songs became the state song of Tennessee, one of the state songs of Tennessee. They wrote it for the Osborne Brothers,
And it was recorded in 1966 by the Osborne Brothers. The Everlys put it on their 1973 record.
called Pass the Chicken and Listen. It's a great record. It was produced,
That was their album title. It was pretty incredible.
produced by Chet Atkins, so, you know, the Atkins diet, it makes sense.
Only you would make that connection. Alright. So yeah, they wrote this song they wrote this song in 15 minutes. They kind of wrote it to pass time. And they had no idea it was going to become such a big song. But since we're Tennessee boys now, this is Rocky Top.
Reached the end with on Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoke on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bills. One side there, the girl on Rocky Top, half where the other half can. Wine is sweet, the sweet is so good, I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be, oh sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Most two strangers climbed on Rocky Top, looking for a moonshine stand. Strangers say, come down from Rocky Top, reckon they never will. Going on Rocky Top, drinks to Rocky by far. That's why all the folks on Rocky Top get their corn from Joe. Rocky Top, you'll always be, oh sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. I spent years crept up city love, drive like a duck in a bed. All I know is it's a pity that can't be simple again. Rocky Top, you'll always be, oh sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So in 1970, once their 10-year Warner Brothers contract had ended, that $1 million contract was paid out over 10 years, and they signed with RCA Records from 1970 to 73. In the summer of 1970, Johnny Cash gave his show to Donna Phil. The Johnny Cash show became the Everly Brothers show for that summer.
I think you're framing it, you're not giving the key factor that Johnny Cash had to go to jail at this
No, he
point.
didn't.
Because he was a criminal and an outlaw. I think it's common knowledge.
Can I just stop you there for a second? Of course. He was part of the outlaw country movement. He wasn't incarcerated. He was performing in the jails.
I don't need to know what he did in jail. The point is... Okay, Zach, everyone's laughing at you right now because you're embarrassing
You
yourself.
know who was in jail at the time at San Quentin? Merle Haggard. We played one of his songs earlier. Did you know about
Listen,
that?
he shot a man in Reno, Zach. This is common knowledge.
You just put it in a song. All right, this is, I guess, a good enough time as any to mention the one sad thing about Don and Phil's career is that they did take a hiatus from 1973 to 83. But if you consider the fact, you know that they were siblings and they grew up together, living together, playing together, and then they had a career together as teenagers, and they went out on the road, never a moment alone. They have to share hotel rooms and bathrooms. They're not even sure if their thoughts are their own anymore. I'm just saying I get it, you know? I understand. I think anyone that has a sibling might understand. So, but you can't sing harmony like Don and Phil did and not love each other. And truthfully, this show has been the greatest learning experience for Dylan and I. I'm so grateful for it every day. Don't worry, it's all the animosity's an act.
Anyone have any hand sanitizer?
So Don and Phil reunited for numerous concerts at the Royal Albert Hall in London in 1983. And they all sold out. They made an HBO special out of it. They made a record out of it. And it prompted them to get back together. And they were touring and making records from 1983 to 2005.
Yeah, the boys were back in town. Now, we're going to do is...
Isn't that Thin Lizzy?
I don't know how thin they were, but... we're going to do 2 songs by household names. These songs were done by Don and Phil. One of the names is Paul McCartney, and the other is...
Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Written for Don and Phil. So 1986 was a really big year for Don and Phil. They were among the very first 10 inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that was along with Sam Cooke, Fats Domino,
Little Richard, Chuck Berry,
Ray Charles.
yeah, Fats Domino, you said?
You did. Jerry Lee Lewis,
And
Buddy Holly,
James Brown.
Elvis, James Brown, yeah, and the Everly Brothers. We got it, great.
So,
And out of all those artists, the last man standing is Jerry Lee Lewis. So we want to do a Jerry Lee Lewis song for you right now.
this is an old barn song.
Well, at least that's what they sold it as to distract from what it's really about.
Chickens in the yard. So come on over, baby, we got the boo at home. I ain't thinking, whole lot of shaking going on. Shake it, baby, shake it. 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 I ain't thinking, whole lot of shaking going on.
Now, 1986. So that year that they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Neil Young inducted them. That same year, Tom Petty presented them with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In 1997, they received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, and in 2001, they were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. And clearly, all of these accolades are rightfully so because Don and Phil were there right at the crossroads of country and rhythm and blues, and they brought those two styles together with a pop sensibility that was pretty unprecedented for the time. And we're not trying to be Don and Phil. We could never do that. If anything, I'm sure you noticed we're a lot more like the Smothers Brothers. Naturally, we're big fans of theirs. The Smothers Brothers comedy hour was great. Have you ever heard tell of them? You know what that is?
Oh, we had dinner with Dick Smothers.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, and Burley told me that you've been texting with Dick.
Oh yeah, a little bit, just a little correspondence. Hi.
I always knew he'd like you best.
I feel that coming. But honestly, in all sincerity, we're really just trying our best to honor the music and honor the history and honor Don and Phil's legacy.
This is our last song here. We're gonna dedicate. We usually dedicate this to Don and Phil, but it's someone's 50th anniversary tonight.
Jane and Paul.
Jane and Paul. Are you here?
50th anniversary. Are you here?
There you are. This is for you. Thank you, George. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you guys for being here. We love you.
Thank you very much. Safe round, safe round.
Ladies and gentlemen, as they say on my favorite TV show, show them your love. The Everly Brothers Experience from Nashville, Tennessee.